Now would be a great time to take a look at what we think the new AP Top 25 is going to look like on Sunday. Oregon Ducks came up with a really big win, of course, 35-6 over the Utah Utes. However, that loss to the Washington Huskies, which remain undefeated, after that scare against, buddy, that was it's quite a scare against Stanford. After the scare against Stanford, still undefeated, so that's going to be there. So look, we're looking at an Oregon team that, best win is this Utah game. Mm-hmm. Washington State, Stanford, Colorado, Hawaii, Texas Tech, Portland State, you don't have a lot to grip onto there. So while I do think that Oregon was one of the big winners of the weekend, I do not have them moving higher than number 6 because of Washington being right there at number 5. The question is, how far should Utah fall after the loss? The Utes are now 6-2. They have wins over UCLA and USC. They have losses to Oregon and Oregon State. All those teams were in the top 25 of the AP poll last week. What do you think is appropriate? Because the resume to me says one thing, but the quality of the team on the field for any AP voters who watched it might say another. What do you think? What are you expecting for Utah on Sunday?
I would have them behind every other 2-loss team save for UCLA and USC because they beat them. And
still in front of Tennessee.
And still, I think you could still put them in front of Tennessee. But I also think that if you're considering more where teams are going, there's an argument to put Tennessee out of Utah. But I would hear arguments on both sides of that. I lean towards I would have Utah ahead of Tennessee too. But I don't know if they're going to drop 10 spots because I don't think losing to Oregon should kill you. But losing in the fashion you lost to Oregon might kill you.
Don't have bad losses, but you do have 2 losses. And how much is how much do those wins against USC and UCLA really resonate? Where they are right now versus where they were. What y'all are projecting is exactly what I have in my story on CBSSports.com. I think they fall behind Louisville, behind Air Force, and then right there ahead of Tennessee, Tulane, and obviously, UCLA, USC, and the like. My lead for this story, I think Georgia probably strengthens its position for number 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll see more first place votes. We'll see more voting points. That got really, really tight last week. The rest of the top 5 probably remaining somewhat the same. Oklahoma can't fall that far, right?
Probably, 11th, 10th?
No, bro.
You think they're going to stay in front of Penn State?
Yes.
They could.
They beat Texas. They're going to fall behind Texas.
They're going to fall behind them.
But I think that the Texas win is better than anything Penn State has to say.
I think they fall out of the top 10.
Okay.
I think Ole Miss is going to climb up into the top 10 this week. I think if Oregon State beats Arizona, they could climb into the top 10. I think I said earlier, losing to Kansas shouldn't be that big of a deal these days. But I think in the mind of a lot of people who vote in this poll, losing to Kansas is still going to seem like a really embarrassing loss.
Kansas is back up. That's how they're going to see it. Hey, Oklahoma just lost to Kansas's backup quarterback, which is a factual statement, and it doesn't give Kansas the credit they deserve.
Or acknowledge the reality of the fact that Jalen Daniels has not played more than 3 games this season.
Correct. Yeah. But again, I'm gonna question if every single voter in the AP poll pays that close of attention, Chip. I know most of them definitely do.
We got some log jams all throughout the rankings. LSU and Alabama were both off. They're kind of near each other. LSU and Missouri were both off. They're kind of near each other. Down at the bottom of the rankings, got Kansas breaking into the rankings after going and getting that win against the Sooners. The Dukes hang on. And a much higher scoring game than I expected. Thank you, second quarter. We'll be reviewing what happens with that one later. And North Carolina falls out, right?
It should.
They're 6-2, right?
Correct.
But if you drop them out, you're already dropping Duke out.
You're putting Oklahoma State in.
Are you putting Kansas State in?
Oklahoma State, Kansas State was my debate. So like I had to turn in if North Carolina and James Madison lose, like all the different situations. But because Oklahoma State has a win over Kansas State, but also a win over Kansas, which is probably going to be breaking in also at 6-2, that Kansas 6-2, Oklahoma State 6-2, Kansas State 6-2. Oklahoma State seems like the hotter team. It seems like those losses were more in the rear view for the quality of the squad that we have going right now.
You could also see a team like Liberty finally squeeze in.
I have Liberty in there too. 8-0 after the midweek win.
Can we drop USC out and keep North Carolina? Like compare those two resumes. UNC got blown out. Carolina has 2 really close losses, right?
Yeah, but
USC lost to Notre Dame,
and North Carolina has much better wins.
USC has an ACC win, and UNC has lost the last 2 times it's played an ACC opponent.
True.
Go Cal.
That's a horrendous game. I mean, like Cal.
North Carolina has lost back-to-back games to Virginia and Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
we spent a month leading into the season talking about how the bottom 4 are Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Boston College. Tar Heels just took losses to 2 of them. But both as double-digit favorites, which, by the way, I think makes this the 6th time since 2020 that Mac Brown's Tar Heels have lost outright as a double-digit favorite.
6?
It's 5 or 6.
In 4 years?
21. Yes.
That's not that crazy, but when you realize that a lot of them are like 20-plus point favorites, then it is really crazy. Like, if you lose 6 times, it's like a 10-point favorite in 4 years. That does happen.
Glass half full. We're double-digit favorites a lot.
Yeah. Listen, they always expect the most of us, all right? And we always let them down. But at least they expect the most of us. Oh, goodness gracious.
Basketball season, Chip. Don't worry.
And look, I understand if you want to say USC should be out, but the projection is that they'll be able to hang on, right? I mean, what are you going to do? Put Miami in after beating Virginia in overtime?
No, probably not.
Virginia beat North Carolina, so that's a pretty big win for Miami, if you ask me.
If you put if you end up like voters, I think I even said in my blurb that like USC will not be on some ballots, but I don't think there's another team with enough of a consensus to overtake them for those 24-25 spots.
Does Duke have a better resume than USC?
At 5-3? No, because that Clemson win doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, Clemson win is useless now. They're 4-4.
They're not even above 500.
A better win than anything that USC has, right?
What's San Jose State at right now? And I'm not kidding.
In the Mountain West? Yeah. I bring that up. There's a pretty good chance that USC loses out, right? So they're going to be out of this thing anyway, eventually. And I'm not trying to be a USC hater, but like they haven't looked good yet.
I mean, I wrote in my Monday After column last week that what's it going to be like when USC goes 7-5 in the Big Ten? They damn well might go 7-5 in the Pac-12 this year.